welcome. Thank you so much for coming to this session. It's about, we're talking about where a science degree can take you. So I'm Kim, and along with Michaela, we work together in the science faculty. We'll be hosting this session for you. And what I think I might do is just give you a sneak peek at the next hour and a bit. Okay, and that's not working. Oh, okay. It's on a bit of a delay. Great. No tech issues here, people. All right, so the program tonight is going to look a little bit like this. So I'm going to share with you some course information. So some of our course offerings and what you can study within the Faculty of Science. We'll also have a look at some of the career-ready study opportunities. So these are units or subjects that you can embed within your degree and alongside your study that get you ready for looking at careers and even networking opportunities as well. So then we'll have a really quick Q&A where Michaela will read out the questions because I'm a bit blind. And I'll stop sharing my screen. Michaela will then take over and introduce you to some of our fantastic current students. They're all part of the Student Ambassador program, which Michaela will speak to you about in that session. And then I will come in again and introduce you to some of our fabulous alumni. So our students that have graduated and are now in employment, and they can talk to you about what they're currently doing and the different things that they also studied and were involved in when they were at Monash. So we'll have a time for questions as well, but I'll also ask if you have questions along the way, so starting in a minute, please feel free to chat them because Michaela and our current students will be able to answer those as we go along. So, all right, let's get cracking. Oh, this is on a really slow, would I press it again? Apologies. Okay, let's go. So science courses, Bachelor of Science, we call it our flagship degree because it is our most popular. So you can study that on its own, or you can study it in a double degree, and there's 10 different options there. I love double degrees because it gives you the opportunity to study different areas that you enjoy and diversifies your career options as well. And plus, it does look pretty good on a CV that you have 2 degrees, but it's not necessary. So yeah, I think they're a really great option. And we also have a couple of selective degrees. Both of these are advanced programs. They're really different. One has a focus on research and one has a focus on looking at the different challenges that are within our society. So we'll go into a little bit more detail in both of those. And then for this year, we introduced a new program, which is the Bachelor of Applied Data Science. And it also has an advanced version, which is a 4-year program as well. So these are our majors, and this is where I get really excited because this is where the fun stuff is. So this is what you can study. We have 25 different majors, everything from astrophysics through to zoology. If you love your maths, we have 5 maths majors. I know it's a bit weird, but there are 5. You biomedical science. So we have 8 biomedical science majors. And what's brilliant about our Bachelor of Science is that you can actually study 2 of these within the degree. So it's a great idea to have a look at them and look at what you're interested in and combine them so that they complement each other and make sense. So for example, if you say wanted to take your maths into the financial sector, you might look at studying financial and insurance mathematics and combine that with a computational science major. You may be thinking of studying medicine and using the Bachelor of Science as a pathway into the graduate medicine program. So you'd probably be looking at physiology and combining that with maybe developmental biology or biochemistry. Or maybe you wanted to become a vet. If you wanted to become a vet, that's postgraduate study. So you need a bachelor degree first. So the Bachelor of Science is perfect. And you'd probably look at studying zoology and combining that with biochemistry. Food security is something else that we can see there's going to be a lot of employment in. So you might look at studying plant sciences alongside genetics and genomics, or cancer research. So you might be then looking at immunology and maybe human pathology, or even microbiology and physiology with that as well. If there's anyone out there that's interested in neuroscience, you can't see it, it's not on the screen. So you know what you do, you study psychology and biology together. Oh, you can remember that one. My personal favourite, because I used to be a biology teacher, is ecology and conservation biology with zoology. And there's some fantastic field trips that you can take, and Michaela will talk a little bit more about those later on. So let's have a look at the structure of the Bachelor of Science. So you can see 2/3 of it is science, and the other third is what we call electives. Now that's your choice. So that's where we usually suggest a second major sits within the electives, and it can be from science or it can be from another faculty. So you might want to study chemistry major, and you might want to combine it with Chinese. So you can do that. Or you might study genetics and genomics in science and then go to arts and major in bioethics. So it's really up to you. It's really flexible, and you can structure it to suit your tastes and what you're interested in. So this is the double degrees. Now we've just put this little illustration or infographic in here. A question we're always asked, double degrees, how do they work? Are they double the work? Because they're called a double degree. And so we've put this together and hopefully it explains it. So if we look at 2 3-year bachelor degrees, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Commerce. So they're 3 years to complete each. So studying those consecutively would then, for the maths whizzes out there, equal 6 years for you to graduate with these 2 degrees. But what we do in our structuring of a double degree is we strip away those electives and we combine the core together so that now you graduate with a double degree in 4 years instead of 6. And we look at commerce becoming the elective of science and science then becoming the elective of commerce in this instance. So that's why I love them. Many years ago, just bore you with a little bit of my personal background, I completed a Bachelor of Education, which was many, many years ago, and that was a 4-year degree back then. If I was to study that now, I'd now graduate with a Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Education. So much better. All right, so we'll have a look at the first of our advanced degrees. So that's a Bachelor of Science Advanced Research with Honours. It's been specially designed for students that think that they might want a career in research, but not necessary, because there's a lot of additional extras in this program. You can see the science component is a lot greater. There is that traditional 4th year, which is an honours research year. These students, if they want, and they do require permission, but they can accelerate their learning in 1st year. So what that means is that they can undertake 2nd or 3rd year units in 1st year if they've been given permission. They access research training from 2nd year, and they also have access to a peer and an academic mentor. And again, if they do want to follow the research pathway, it can take them direct into a PhD as well. So the ATAR for that is 95, and that's a guaranteed entry along with meeting the subject prerequisites. All right, Bachelor of Science Advanced Global Challenges. Bridget. All right, so you can see the structure here, again, is very different. So the science is less. However, you are required to complete a major. There's a group there called electives, and they're a group of subjects that the science faculty believes complements the program really well. And these subjects are from arts, business, law, and there's other selections that the students can make as well. The impact through science stream in the light blue, you can see on the right-hand side of your screen there, I hope that's right. is made up of all of those elements. So they look at leadership, persuasive communication, entrepreneurship. In second year, there is an assignment where the students are required to create a social enterprise or a business idea, and then they pitch that to a judging panel, and they've been allocated funds which the students might use for maybe developing a website or product or something along those lines. In the pink, you can see there's an internship which is embedded within the program in third year, and we strongly encourage students to take that overseas, and the faculty does financially support that. Those internships actually haven't been undertaken overseas this year for obvious reasons, so the students have been doing them locally. And then in fourth year, it's an Impact Through Science project. It's not a traditional research year such as the advanced research degree that I spoke about just before. Students work in groups of 3, and they're usually situated within an organisation, taking an element of an overarching program. And I think, Bridget, you might even want to talk about that a little bit later on as well. This program, it's very competitive to get in, I will be honest, but it is absolutely amazing. If you are after something that is structured, whilst there is a course structure in place, the course director will throw you curveballs constantly, so you need to keep you on your toes. There's a supplementary information form, which there's 3 questions that you need to submit responses to through VTAC, and there's also an interview as part of the application process. So let's have a look at our applied data science. So this is our new one for this year. We're really excited by this. It's for students that love IT and that love maths, because that's the foundation of this program. So you can see there's an IT stream, there's a maths stream, and then we have that bright purple stream, and that's called data challenges. Now what that is, it is group work for the stream throughout the 3 years. It's non-examinable. Oh, I'm getting all tongue-tied, I apologise. Non-examinable, which is always a good thing. But it's where the application comes in. So we've spoken to industries, we've spoken to the health sector, manufacturing, research, because we're a university, retail organisations, and the issues that they have with their data, and it's all about finding solutions. So it's a solution-focused stream, that one. Then over on the right-hand side, where we have the pink section, that's called applied studies. So you can study subjects or units anywhere from that list. And that is where I think students can bring in their interest from completely different other areas to IT and maths, but still will be, the data science will still be used within those. So you might be interested in marketing and looking at the analytics and the data behind campaigns, and that might be your interest. So, you know, the cybersecurity, we're looking at the hard sciences as well, and there's also areas from arts and languages. Then when we have a look at its big brother or big sister, it's pretty much the same for the first 3 years, but in fourth year, we teach you some research methodology. There's a couple more electives, and then you're based within an industry for an entire semester. So again, that's where the application comes in, and you'll be able to gain some professional experience from that. So all of these courses, as you can see, have an elective component in it. We also offer, which I'll speak about in a moment, an internship, and this is where I highly recommend you embed an internship unit into your course so that you can gain some professional experience in the particular area you're studying. And you know what? Sometimes students will undertake an internship and realise that that's actually not where they want to work, and that's okay too, because it's good to discover it then than later on. So when I spoke about earlier on the career ready study opportunities, so this is what some of them look like. So this was the internship unit that I just spoke about. You can embed that within your program. I can give you an example of a student a couple of years ago. He was studying immunology and pharmacology, and thought that he wanted to go into and work in a lab. So he was actually working for, well, his internship, I should say, was situated in the Swiss laboratories, you know, the health food company. He enjoyed it, but what it did do opened his eyes up to the fact that he's a people person and he needed actually more interaction with people than being in the lab. So he's now working in pharmaceutical sales, which is perfect for his personality. So that was the type of experience that he had, and it was great because he learnt that he didn't want to remain in a lab for the rest of his life. Some students do, and that's fine. All right, so we have another unit, career skills for scientists. All right, so it just, it's a whole range of activities that get students ready for the workforce. You know, you'll be looking at organisations and breaking them down to see the different departments and how they all interrelate with each other. The students will develop a LinkedIn profile, they'll look at product marketing. Yeah, so it's fantastic insight into employment area. Science in Schools project is another one. So if students think that they might want to enter teaching, this is a brilliant way just to dip your toes in. It's very difficult when you're learning information at a certain level, and then you have to take that knowledge and maybe, you know, teach it into a primary school. So you're taking, you know, university level teaching into a primary school setting. Those communication skills and your ability to be really positive in that is fantastic skills to learn. So that's another opportunity. And then there's science research project units, again, to dip your toes. So you think you might want to go into research? Well, there's research project units that you can undertake, and there's 22 different areas there, and some of those are listed. So it gives you an insight into potentially what a research honours year might look like. So I'll leave it there and I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll allow Michaela to take over. So I hope you gain some information from that, and we might just have the quick Q&A.
Yes, there's quite a few questions. Hold on 2 seconds. I'm just going to share my screen so that I don't. Oops. Okay. All right. All right. Come on.
Your desktop looks like mine.
I know, it's just so messy. We do have quite a few questions. So I just saved everything onto it. It's terrible. So some really great general questions coming through. So a few questions about honours, Kim. I don't know if you can outline, or one of our students can outline, what an honours year is. And so that was one of the, and what kind of things do students go into when they are studying an honours degree? So what is this?
You know what, I can talk about that, but we're going to move away a little bit from this strict program that we have, Carla, aren't we? And Carla, so Carla's completed an honours year. So do you mind sharing with everyone what that was like?
Yeah, sure. So I didn't know that I wanted to do honours at the start of my science degree, and I sort of fell into it a bit. But it was actually probably the most fantastic thing I ever did, and probably one of the best years of my uni experience. So I ended up doing my honours year at the Royal Melbourne Hospital with an anaesthetist. So I started science because I had an idea that I probably wanted to go into medicine, or it was something that I was interested in when I started science. So then, yeah, I basically finished my science degree and still hadn't got into med. So I opted to go down the honours route. And it was my backup plan, but it was the best backup plan I ever did, I think, because it was basically like a year where you're exposed to the workforce and you're in the workforce, but you're not getting paid and you still have the role of a student. So I guess you get to learn with people supporting you and helping you, but you get a really good, I guess, introduction to the workforce. And it's a really good opportunity to make lots of different contacts. As I said, I was doing my project with an anaesthetist. I was based at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, so a lot of your projects, you can either choose different researchers, or there's some doctors that offer projects. There's really such a big variety. I ended up going down the public health route, so I did mine with the School of Public Health. but there's more lab-based projects. So there's really such a big variety of what you can do. And yeah, like I said, I was based at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, so I got to, go to the hospital every day as my uni, and yeah, get a really good idea of what the workforce looked like. So for me, it was one of the best experiences I've had, I think, yeah.
And I hear also that a lot of students say that it's you develop project management skills because it's a project that you're primarily responsible for. And yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, even project management skills, I think your communication skills just are developed so much more than they would be after just your Bachelor of Science, because you're presenting to people sort of at least maybe once every 2 to 3 months, and you're presenting to professors and people. For me, it was people in the hospital. I had to present to the whole anaesthetics department, so all the different anaesthetists. So that was really nerve-wracking. But now it's such a great skill that I have, that I feel a lot more confident presenting to anyone and everyone because of what I was sort of exposed to during my honours year. But I think they really sort of give you support as well. So you're not completely pushed into the workforce. So it's a really good, like, I guess, an intern year to and also the contacts that you meet as well can really open up the doors. Like, I didn't even have to apply for jobs after my honours year because my honours supervisor offered me a job. So I think it can really open up the doors into the workforce as well in terms of that aspect.
Brilliant. Thank you.
No worries.
All right. So yeah, I was just saying, are there people at Monash who can help you select your units and structure your degree? Absolutely. So we have a team and they're called Science Student Services, and you can go in and see them. Actually, you can't go in and see them at the moment, but you can call them and you can send messages, and their role is to provide course advice and anything course related, and they can provide you with a course map, even mapping out the subjects from first year all the way through to third year, and you can change your mind and you can have 20 different course maps, and that's fine. Are you able to use science as a pathway for physiotherapy? You certainly can. We usually recommend that you complete a year of the Bachelor of Science. Make sure that all your subject prerequisites have been met, and you will need to achieve a 70% average. And then you would either apply, internal, so you would apply for an internal transfer. Okay, Michaela, would you like to answer any of these?
Yes. So I guess when do you select your major is a good question. So in your first year of science, you have to complete 2 science level 1 sequences. So essentially it's like biology 1011, biology 1022, chemistry 1011, chemistry 1022. And you choose those in your first year, but they will open you up for a range of different majors. So I guess it's really just picking an area that you really like. And if you do change your mind, it is pretty easy to move around and it's a little bit more flexible later on down the track. But once again, those Science Student Services people can help you choose your major. So if you are unsure as to which major you are keen on, you can have a chat with them and you can tell them what you might want to study and what you might want to do later on in life, and they can help you out. So yeah, I guess that's kind of, you're not locked into anything right away, and it's pretty flexible. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Kim, but
yeah, no, perfect.
Cool. Sorry, go.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, where are we? The entry, the ATAR, sorry, for Bachelor of Science for international students is 80. So there is a subject, VTech subject adjustment, call it a bonus, that is eligible for domestic students. So the number of the more science subjects you study in year 12, you can get some bonus points that's added to your aggregate. And unfortunately, international students aren't eligible for that. So that's why there's a little bit of a difference there. Difference between doing a biomed course versus doing a science course, but choosing majors that are the same as biomed. Alrighty. So within the Bachelor of Biomedical Science, Carla's heard this many times before, so is Bridget probably. There are 8 subjects called electives, similar to that you saw in the Bachelor of Science. Unfortunately, you can't study any of the biomedical science majors in there because 2/3 of the Bachelor of Biomedical Science is already prescriptive, which means the units have already been set for you to enrol into, and a lot of the curriculum would be repeated. So those students that are studying a Bachelor of Biomedical Science might look at a second major in maybe chemistry or maths. They're different, they're very different structures. But so I think probably a good idea maybe would to do some, undertake some research on the course structure of each and compare them.
There are a lot of questions here about graduate entry medicine as well. So I guess it's good to know that you can do graduate entry medicine after you complete a science degree. At Monash, you have to complete either a science degree, a physiotherapy degree, a pharmacy degree, or a biomedical science degree in order to be eligible for the Monash graduate entry medicine program. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it is all on the website. Just Google graduate entry medicine and it will take you through all the requirements for grad entry medicine, because we are talking about science here tonight. So yes, you can use science as a pathway through, and probably biochemistry and physiology would be the majors you might be looking at in your science degree. But once again, once you get into the science degree, you can have a chat with the course advisors and they'll help you out with your subject selection about, you know, your career pathway and things like that.
Yeah, I think we might
move on.
Move on.
Yes, okay. All right, so let's see if this will work. Everyone can see that? Yes, excellent. So we're going to talk a little bit about the science student experience, and we are very lucky to have here today quite a few students. So we've got Chang, Tara, Naz and Artemis, and they're all quite late in their degree, and I'll introduce them a little bit more. They'll introduce themselves a little bit more later. What I'm going to do is firstly play this video for you. Actually, I don't know if I can. I don't think I ticked the button. Hold on 2 seconds. I know, it's just terrible. Hold on, let me try that again.
That's all right.
I know. You think that they would just have this automatically in there, but no. So, okay. Right. Okay. So let's play this video for you. This is one of our alumni, and she's obviously finished her Bachelor of Science honours and Bachelor of Computer Science, and she's now working at Deloitte.
I participated in Science Student Ambassadors, Science Peer Mentoring.
Oh, come on.
I was one of the editors for Lot's Wife magazine. And in addition to that, I was also Monash University ambassador. I think taking part in extracurricular activities differentiates you from those who don't, in that you tend to pick up a lot of skills that aren't necessarily stated on paper with these roles. So yes, you will pick up communication and leadership skills, but in addition to that, you also learn how to be diplomatic and how to solve problems in a different and innovative way. Accountability, I think, is quite an important one, because when you are part of all of these different clubs and groups, you have a certain role in them, and that means that you need to be accountable for your actions, and you need to keep everyone in your team and committee up to date with what you're doing. I think some of the most relevant skills would probably have to be planning and organisation. You can't appear professional to the client if you're all over the place and you don't have good organisation and you're bad with timing and you're not punctual. And I think on top of that, as a consultant, you're hired for your thinking skills, not necessarily your technical skills. So creative problem solving, I think those two things are very important. Say yes to as many things as you can, because you never know what's out there. I think there's a lot of hidden opportunities in extracurricular activities that aren't just getting skills. You meet a lot of people, you make new friends, you build your network. I really wish someone would have told me that you can travel during your studies. If I had known that earlier, I would have travelled during my studies, because I think it's important to understand other cultures and other traditions outside of your own.
All right. Oh. Okay, cool. So that was a little bit of wisdom and insight from somebody who has graduated and has now gone into the workforce. So as she said, it's really important to say yes to everything. And we have 4 students here who have said yes to lots of things. So I am going to introduce Artemis, Naz, Tara and Chang, who are all students in their 3rd and 4th year, and they're just going to introduce themselves. So firstly, I will get Artemis to introduce herself. So Artemis, if you'd like to give us a little feel about yourself, that'd be great.
Hi everyone. I'm Artemis, and as it says in the sheet, I am in 4th year. I study a double degree in science and arts, and I do an extended major in environmental science for my science degree, and then in my arts degree, I do a major in human geography, and I did a minor in media communications.
Excellent. And Naz, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello. I know it says Narima, but you can call me Naz. I am, as it says in my 4th year, of a science and commerce specialist double degree, majoring in mathematical statistics and actuarial science. Yeah, sorry, what were the other questions?
Oh, just that was about it. And Tara, do you want to give it a go?
Oh, hi, I'm Tara. I'm in my 3rd year of the Bachelor of Science Advanced Global Challenges degree. My majors are in chemistry. I specifically like environmental chemistry, and my minor is in earth science. Yeah.
Cool. And Chang?
Hi, I'm Chang. Again, just reading off the sheet. I'm a 4th year doing science and computer science. I'm doing an extended maths major and I'm doing a data science specialization in my computer science. And this picture is from my exchange to Sweden that I did as part of my degree.
Cool. Excellent. Chang's going to talk a bit about that later. What I'm going to talk about, and I'm probably going to get my lovely student ambassadors to help me out now that I can see them on the screen. It was a bit awkward. I couldn't see anyone before. So we're just going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you can experience while you're at uni. And all 4 of these students are, and some of our alumni were part of the Science Student Ambassador Program. So they do stuff like this where they help us out with events. And they also do various other things, and they help out at open day, and it's a really, really fun way to get involved with the science faculty and also give back and learn some soft skills and learn a lot of other things. I mean, you know, we're all learning lots of stuff about webinars this year, and now they're all helping out with them. So it's really good. It's a really great program. We also have a range of peer-assisted study sessions. So if you do need help in your 1st year, you can get older students who will come down and help the 1st year students. There's also a peer mentoring program, which is where the 1st year students can get mentoring and various other fun activities. This year, obviously, because of COVID, it's all online. So I've seen them do cooking, I've seen them do quiz nights, I've seen them do all sorts of other cool stuff. So yeah, we really do try and look after our students as much as we can. There's also Science Future Leaders program, which is, I don't know if any of you guys are in the Science Future Leaders program. I know we've got a couple of science, no one, that's fine. But basically it's a program where students will put their hand up to go to these camps and learn about science and become leaders in science, which is pretty cool. We also have Science Industry Week. I know Naz has got some interesting stories about Science Industry Week, and I think a couple of other students who are here today and alumni have made connections at that event. Essentially what it is, it's a week-long event which is divvied up between the different types of science. So for example, chemistry is on one night and physics is on another night, and alumni and also industry professionals are invited in, and there's a few speaking things, and you can talk to employers and all that sort of stuff. So it's a pretty great way of making connections, networking, and in Naz's case, finding a job. So that's pretty cool. And there's also a lot of field trips, study tours and exchange opportunities as well. It's not just about locally, which I'm sure it will start off locally once we're open back up, but you can also go internationally, and Artemis has got some stories about that, as does Chang. And there's heaps and heaps of clubs and societies that you can participate in as well. So I guess, as Natalia said in that video, it's all about saying yes to as many things as you possibly can, and there's a lot of opportunities on hand at Monash, which is great. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a bit because I feel like it might be easier to do the Brady Bunch type thing. So while we do the panel part. So as I mentioned, all of these students are in quite late in their degree. So I'm just going to go back and we're going to talk a little bit about each of their experiences. So Naz, I'm just going to talk to you first about your Science Industry Week connection thing that you did. I don't know if you want to talk about your internship or the connection that you made there, but then maybe we'll start with that.
Yeah, so I went to the Science Industry Week. So if you aren't aware, every night there's like a different focus. So one night it might be biology or chemistry. I was on the night where it was mathematics and physics. And I was sitting and listening to the panel talk, and one of them, the company called BRI, I'd never heard about, but I liked the way the guy talked. So during the networking session, I went up to him and introduced myself and said, hey, I'm looking for internships. I quite literally never heard of your company before, but I like the way you speak. And if that's any indication of how the culture is there, I'd love to kind of learn more and see if there's any way to kind of get on board. So it sounds like a boom after that I got the job, but it was like a long process of figuring out when they had a project and when I could get on and all the little like nitty gritty details. But yeah, it may not work out that everyone gets a job, because I guess that quite literally couldn't happen for every single person. But I know all my friends that have attended have gained new perspectives on how the tools that they're learning in university could be applied. Like maybe you're doing chemistry and you may not realize that you can find a career in consulting or just any other pathway that the skills you gain in a science degree are applicable in various other places.
While we're on the topic of internships, I know, Tara, have you done an internship? Yeah, do you want to give us a little bit of a spiel? Because you're in Global Challenges, so your internship is built into the course. So do you want to give us a little bit of a spiel about that?
Yeah, of course. So I did my internship in February, just as I guess the whole COVID thing. A lot of my fellow students are trying to do their internships online at the moment, but I was lucky enough to do it in person. I did it with Science in Public, and they're a science communication consultancy firm. They were really amazing, and I got to really shadow a lot of their work. I was able to go to the Defence Australia and like watch them give their talk, and I went to the Australian Science Communication like National Week thing where they do all the different talks and they talk about science communication, sorts of nerds talking about science communication. It was amazing. I met like the War and Waste guy and the not Leslie, what's her name? Lee something from Scope, the kids science TV show. I was in my element. So I really loved the internship because it gave me all those different, not only did I see what the industry that I was at, but I was also get this wide range of all the different areas that they work in and the different jobs that were also involved. It's like a very multi-layered thing, which I really enjoyed.
Now, Artemis, you've done an internship as well, but yours is very different. So I wouldn't. Do you want to give us a bit of a go through of what you did in your internship?
Absolutely. Just like Tara, I actually did mine just before COVID, and actually I finished it as COVID was already taking hold in Victoria, and had to do the last week at home. But I was with the state government, so I was in the Department of Premier and Cabinet in the environmental department, and that was an incredible experience. I got to be there for 3 months, and initially it was quite overwhelming because we experienced the bushfire crisis at the beginning of the internship, and that was hectic. And we were just a lot of the work I was doing was writing briefs for the Premier and advising helping to advise on particular measures that we needed to put in place, and especially with a lot of grants and money that needed to be dispersed immediately to the people who needed it most. That was a lot of what we were doing initially, and as I was just starting to learn about the governmental system as well. But then towards the end of it, it almost just completely died because all the work needed to be where the health and mental health departments were. So I got the full spectrum, but a lot of the work that I did was writing briefs and shadowing really amazing people in the Department of Environment, and specifically climate change and energy. There were a lot of research projects that I had to take and research and then present to the team. So it was really, really exciting.
Cool. And was that part of the subject, the internship subject that you did that internship through?
I did that outside of the university structure, but I did do an internship the year prior with Monash. I did that through the internship, subject that you could select, and I did also find out about the state government opportunity through Monash emails. So yeah.
It's quite common that students will do more than one internship while they're going through their university. So yeah, sometimes that will be through that subject, and sometimes it'll be off their own back. So, and I mean, the more experience that you can get and the more things you can do, the more employable you'll end up at the end. So we are going to go a little bit further afield. So Chang, you went on exchange to Sweden, which is where your photo was taken. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about your experience in Sweden.
It was really good. So the exchange program, through that, I did a semester abroad at a technical university in Sweden. And I spent 5 months there starting from the end of summer where they had, 12, 13-hour sunrise days to the dead of winter where it was 2 or 3 hours of sunlight max. And while I was there, I did a lot of different subjects that couldn't have been done here because they teach different things and they teach it differently. And I also had the opportunity to travel during the semester breaks and over Christmas. So I probably went to 6 or 7 different European countries just in and out. And I thought that was really good as well. And yeah, I just wanted to take this time to answer some of the questions about study abroad as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I found that doing a double degree helped my opportunities because I could have done half, which is what I am doing. I did half science units, half computer science units, but I had the option to do all computer science units or all maths units there, depending on whatever suited me. And so that gave me more flexibility than what you would think, because you think, oh no, I have to do this much and this much. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot about myself. I spent 6 months abroad, 5 months abroad, and traveled a lot. So yeah, it's good.
Now, has any of our wonderful current student ambassadors, have any of you guys done a research project or a summer research project or anything where you get your hands dirty in terms of the lab? Nope.
Lab is a bit of a
for you,
exciting word for sitting in a room and doing mathematics. But
yeah.
At the end of my second year, I did it was an 8-week program where I just spent Monday to Friday in the math building, working with 2 of my professors on what they were currently writing a paper on, which is extremely exciting to see kind of the really basic stuff that you're learning in second year of uni. I mean, you say it's basic, but it was applicable to what they were kind of working on in their research. So yeah, it was very exciting, and it kind of, not only was it good to kind of stretch the technical muscles, but the ability to explain very strange and obscure findings in layman's terms is a very valuable skill to have.
So Naz, what was the project on that you're working on? If you
yes, I should probably go into. So it was on without a whiteboard, you know. It was on random walks on a fixed oriented lattice, which is, if you consider a grid. And you start at one point, what are the different ways that you can move around that space, and what are the consequences of you moving around that space, and all strange and wonderful questions regarding that.
Cool. Well, I don't know if I understand that, but I'm sure Chang, because he likes.
Yeah, I'm smiling. That sounds really, yeah. I also did a similar project. I did something on differential geometry. It was about describing spaces that aren't flat. Basically the same experience as Naz there.
Yeah, that's cool. Now back to overseas. Artemis actually went to Italy and she did a study tour there. So a study tour is essentially like a short exchange. Or how long was your study tour, Artemis? Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, at the top of my mind, because I was away for a month, but I think the actual experience was only a week and a half. So it was a really short, intense course, but it counted for the equivalent of a semester's worth of work. And it also consolidated 3 years worth of study. So it was a really short, sharp and sweet unit that I could complete. And it was in the beautiful, beautiful area of the Cinque Terre in Italy. And you have professors obviously that come with you, and you do a research, a small research project that you conduct out in the field, and you get to explore the beautiful Italian landscape as you do it as well. There are a few other overseas short experiences that you can do, but that's just one of them.
Oh, excellent. I guess is there any with all these experiences that you've kind of had, current student ambassadors, and we're going to hear more from our alumni very shortly. Do you think that all of these things that you've done have kind of made you a little bit more job ready going forward into the future? Tara, do you want to sort of explain about how you feel you know, you're going to be graduating at the end of this year or next year, next year.
Next year.
You know, do you feel like you're heading off to, you know, a good supporting background for a job later on?
Yeah, I do. I definitely went into this degree not knowing exactly what I wanted, and I think that was one of the main reasons I did decide to do the Global Challenge, is because there is such a variety of career options after. And in doing the internship, and I did the school's science project. I'm doing the school science project at the moment, and that's definitely increased my love for STEM education and science diplomacy. So just doing those subjects and just experiencing those different areas, because science can take you anywhere, literally anywhere. So experiencing those different subjects and those different areas just shows you what you're passionate about and what you are driven to do, and that's where you're going to find a good career.
Cool. And does anybody want to share if they've actually got a job lined up for next year? Because I know some of you are graduating, so I don't know if anyone's got a job, but yeah.
All right, I guess I'll go. So this is my final year, and so typically what happens is we start applying for grad roles right at the start of the year. And then one of the first places I applied for, which is Telstra, I went through the process, I did the interviews, and then they're like, yeah, here's a grad role. I was like, yeah, cool.
Yay!
Yeah, so it was really good. I thought it was quite painless actually, because I don't know, I just drew upon all the experiences I had at uni, and they're quite happy with my interview answers. So yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Anybody else have any fun job stuff to share? If you don't, you probably will very shortly. So
yeah. So like as was shared before, I'll be starting work hopefully once I graduate, but also hoping to do a master's full time. So it's gonna be nice balancing those. And yeah, as Chang said, all the kind of little bits and pieces of volunteering and going overseas and internships, they always help make the process of getting a graduate role just that little bit easier.
Cool. Excellent. Well, we are running out of time, so I'm going to pass it over to Kim, and she's going to talk a little bit about, or she's going to have a panel session with our wonderful alumni. So I'm just going to share my screen again. Hold on. There we go.
So you can see who everyone is.
Yes, there we go. Oh, hang on. Is it working? Hang on, no, it's not. I'll do that.
I love technology.
I know, it's just great. Like, isn't it just fantastic? Okay, where are you? All right, there we go. There we go.
There they are.
Yes.
Fantastic. I love it. All right, so this is really special for me as well, and I think it's great for you to meet some of our students. Obviously, we spoke about before, and you've heard from Carla too, and Bridget, that that studied not that long ago. In fact, 3 out of the 4 alumni that we have with us tonight actually completed their studies last year. So I thought it was a great opportunity, and asking them to come along as well, is just to share their stories with you. So what I might do is go through and I'll get everyone to introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with you, Taryn, because you're the left-hand side of my screen. So if you'd just like to introduce yourself to everyone, just talk about what you studied at Monash and also what you're doing now, that would be great.
Sure thing, Kim. So I am currently working as an associate consultant with Capgemini Australia. I'm in the insights and data field, which kind of makes sense with my science background. But at Monash, I did quite a lot actually. Like it said before in the video, I said yes to literally everything. So I did a Bachelor of Science and Arts. As it says, I did a major in chemistry and criminology, but I also did a number of minors. So I also studied immunology, developmental biology, behavioural studies, and human rights. So I found a passion for human rights in my last few years, which I spent quite a bit of time on, and my major in chemistry, because I also did I did one of the overseas units that you can do for chemistry. So I studied in Germany for 6 weeks and did the research project there, which was an absolutely amazing experience. And I actually worked with Kim, kind of, and I ran the Science Peer Mentor program that you would have heard about before. So can 100% guarantee that that is a great opportunity.
And I when Taryn told me that she had this position, I was really excited. And I remember we were in the science faculty kitchen and I said, Taryn, would you want to come back and speak at some stage? So that stuck in my mind. And yeah, so we connected. So yeah, thank you for that. All right, Carla, you're back on.
Yep.
Yep, there you are.
That's actually a little bit old because I finished up at the Baker Institute last year. Sorry, Kim. I probably should have told you that. But I actually have come the full circle. So over the last 9 to 12 months, I've been working at Monash in the cancer research program, doing some trial coordination, and also I've actually been a teaching associate at Monash and taught some of the health science units to health science students as well. So I've really come the full, I guess, Monash circle. But yeah, basically once I finished my Bachelor of Science, as you heard from me before, I did an honours year. And I had no idea throughout my science degree really much about clinical research. I wanted to go into medicine, and I've still wanted to go into medicine throughout my career, I guess, leaving my studies. But I knew that I wanted to do something clinical, basically. So my honours year really exposed me to the world of clinical research. And from that, I was offered a job as a clinical trial coordinator at the Royal Melbourne Hospital in anaesthetics and pain management. So I worked there for about a year and a half, basically in the hospital, in surgeries, in theatre every day, wandering around the hospital, talking to patients on the wards, all that kind of fun stuff. And then I moved on at the start of 2019 to join the Baker Heart and Diabetes Institute, where I ran a cancer trial there. So I was doing all kinds of fun stuff there, like doing ECGs on patients, taking blood, doing really hands-on clinical work, which I had no idea, I guess, during my science degree that it could even take me there. It sort of all happened very quickly. And then I moved back to Monash just because I really did want to focus on getting into medicine, as it was still my passion. And recently I've been accepted to attend University College in Dublin, Ireland. So I'll actually be leaving for Ireland next week to start my postgraduate medical degree. So I saw there's a lot of questions on the Q&A about this. And I just wanted to make a quick comment that I'm going to study with people that have done arts as their undergraduate degree. So it really doesn't matter what you study before med. They'll catch you up. But I mean, a science degree is an excellent precursor no matter what you study. I did physiology as my major and developmental biology as my minor as well. And they were obviously really relevant, but you know, there's immunology, there's microbiology, so many other different amazing majors that you can pick from that, yeah, will give you an amazing precursor to starting med. So I just wanted to throw that in there too. Sorry, I should shut up.
No, not at all. Thank you, Callum. Where are you? You're not on my screen.
Yep, there we go.
Oh, where are you? There you are. Before you introduce yourself, I need to know the photo. Where was that? What is that?
That's in Nara, Japan. That was actually the day I got the notification to say I'd finished, got the results back from my final exams.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, so that was a very happy day.
That's brilliant. You look happy too. So tell me, what are you doing now?
So I'm working for Rio Tinto, Growth and Innovation up in Bundoora. At the moment I'm working from home, but that's where I usually am. So I finished with a degree in chemistry with a real focus on sustainable chemistry. Then off of the fantastic words of Kim, I got a job up with the tailings team at Rio GNI, which is all about sort of finding all the mean nasties in the runoff from up and coming mines in Eastern Europe and Northern Australia. And then from there, I joined on with another team, the geometallurgy team, which is sort of all about, again, up and coming mines where we're trying to find where the good stuff is and where the nasties are so that we don't go producing any of those nasties in the product. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I didn't actually know that. Thank you. When you were in year 12, did you know that you wanted to head down that path? Did you know what you wanted to study exactly? The areas that you're interested in?
No, not really. I always liked chemistry, but at the start of my science degree, part of the reason I picked it is because I was sort of, I hadn't made up my mind yet. I found that I really enjoyed immunology, and that's why it became my minor. I put my feelers out for a whole bunch of different units and sort of narrowed it down to chemistry as my major at the end of my degree.
Okay. And just, Callum, why did you choose Monash?
Well, I'd actually had a bunch of family who had gone to Monash previously and had all spoke amazing words of praise of it. And then when I went to the open day, I just loved the community, especially sciences at Clayton campus primarily, and just the size of it and the sense of community when you're on campus. There's clubs, there's events, there's barbecues that are always going on. You sort of feel like it's a home away from home when you're on campus.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Bridget. Hello,
Hi.
Bridget. Where are you? All right. Hi, everyone. Some of you know, but I think the majority of you don't know. So Bridget's actually joining us tonight from New Zealand, which is very exciting. I haven't seen her for a long time. It's what it feels like anyway. So thank you very much. So can you just tell us a little bit about what you're doing, but also why you chose the Global Challenges program?
Okay, so currently I'm completing a 6-month internship in commercialisation at Ag Research here in New Zealand, which was an absolute dream come true, and I was very lucky to find it because I knew I loved agricultural science, but I knew I wanted to work on the more businessy side and commercialisation, and to have this role pop up at the perfect time was really incredible. So essentially commercialisation is helping the scientists get their research onto the market. And I'm starting a grad role next year at Coles Supermarkets back in Melbourne. Yay! In the product technology team. So that's a lot to do with the fresh produce and looking at shelf life and how to have really high quality food. I love food, so a career in food has been incredible.
We all do.
Yeah. But that was partially why I chose the Global Challenges degree, because I loved science, but I didn't want to be a scientist. And I feel like a lot throughout high school, no one really talks about the other options that you have from a science degree. So for me to find a degree which also incorporated social issues, which I was super passionate about, as well as entrepreneurship and innovation and working in industry, it was the perfect degree. So I still have that strong science base, and I'm really able to communicate with scientists and use my science background. But then I have all these other skills on top for working with people, looking at things from a more commercial perspective and being able to apply that.
And that relates to your honours year topic, doesn't it? So what did you do? What did you do in your Global Challenges honours year?
So my Global Challenges honours year was a bit different to every other Global Challenges student. Normally you're in a group. I was a little bit unlucky in that my team member unfortunately had to defer last minute because some things came up. So, but I was still working with a really incredible industry partner. They're called Precision Agriculture. And what they do is they essentially go out and sample the soil to give farmers really precise information on how to manage their farm. However, there was suggestions within the industry that you could use one type of satellite imagery to do it significantly cheaper. And so that's where the Global Challenges side of this comes in, is that it's not just the science, there's usually a business industry side to it as well. So my project throughout the year was to see if there was this economically viable, but also scientifically sound other method that this company could be using.
Fantastic. Did you, when did your interest in agriculture raise its head?
Interesting. So I did go to John Monash Science School because I knew from a young age, probably about 13, 14, that I really loved science. And I always knew it was biological science, but I didn't know if I wanted to do more health and human related or environmental. And so in high school, I did kind of all my base science subjects, but I did PE as my health and human side, and then I did environmental science, and I was surprised that I actually enjoyed the environmental science side more. And then I think for me as well, it tied into, like I said, I'm really interested in social issues, and I realized how much environmental science ties into that, and you know, marginalized communities are disproportionately affected by any environmental issue, and how much environmental issues and things like food and agriculture tie into our health as well. So that for me was a big driver to taking this approach. Also, I had an autoimmune disease as a teenager, so I thought being around sick people might not be the smartest idea. So that ruled out things like being a physiotherapist or a doctor for me. I think that worked out for the best. I think I'm such a people person that, you know, being able to do things on a larger scale really appealed to me.
Brilliant. Love it. All right, I'm going to give you a quick one. Taryn, you're first. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, what's been the best thing or the highlight that you've done, undertaken, been involved in at Monash within your degree?
Two things come to mind for me. My research unit was probably the best thing I ever did. It kind of sounds a little bit the opposite when I explain it, but it basically made me realize that while I absolutely love chemistry and I could live every day of my life in a chemistry lecture theatre, I did not want to be a researcher. I did not want to be stuck in a lab. It was not me. So while I realized I loved the learning of science, so that's what I decided to stick with instead. And I got to experience a great time. I have amazing friends because of it. And the other thing would be the peer mentoring program. I was part of it through my whole 5 years. So it completely changed my I guess my life really in terms of uni. I made so many friends through it. I learned so many skills. My project management skills really have helped me in my current role. So yeah, it really helped me with my career as well.
It's brilliant that you can actually like take that step back and look at that involvement and go, wow. At the time, I didn't probably realise that I was developing these skills, but now, it helped, and it now works. It's great.
Even just simple things like communication, it's essential to what I do. So.
And why did you initially become involved in the peer mentoring program?
I became involved in my first year as a mentee. So I became involved to just to be able to meet people and everything. And I still speak to some of those people today. So yeah, that's how I first got involved. Yeah.
Brilliant. So you started your networking early. Love it.
Yes.
What about you, Carla? What's the best thing, the highlight, you've been involved in without meeting me, I should say?
Yes, Kim was definitely number one. Well, again, two things kind of spring to mind. Like Tara and I was involved in the Science Ambassador program, and I was one of the mentors for not the first year science student mentoring program, but there was another one. So I had 2 third-year science students that I mentored. And 2 of them actually now got jobs out of that. So that was really nice to be able to contribute to, I guess, someone else, their success as well out of uni. And then, all my friends currently, my whole friendship group I met at Monash doing science. I'm quite a social person, and I think there's a big misconception that people that do science are maybe the more nerdy type that don't enjoy socializing. And my whole career has literally been talking to people in hospitals, patients, other doctors, clinicians, people that work in hospitals, I guess, so everyone in allied health as well. So I think that sort of started for me at Monash. I think you're in labs with people, and you're put in a lab for 3 hours with the same group of people, so you're not going to not talk to them really. So I think I really loved that. And also that brings me to my second point, which was in the labs, I think they were all really hands-on. And like, I remember my best memories are probably the dissections we got to do in developmental biology. So looking at the preserved cadaveric specimens as well as real cadavers that we got to do. So I got to hold a real human brain. It might creep a few people out, but I loved it from a scientific point of view. But yeah, so I guess that really hands-on experience that I have a lot of friends that went to various other different unis. And I think that's something that's really stood out for me as well. Since leaving Monash, I've really been surprised at how many things I think back and think, oh, gee, like Monash really prepared me really well for this. I learned this during my science degree, which I really didn't expect. So because I didn't think, I guess, in amongst my science degree that maybe I was partying a little bit too hard on some of those years. So maybe I didn't think that I would absorb as much as I did. But yeah, I guess that hands-on learning experience really helps you to learn more than you actually think you are learning at the time. So I loved that as well about Monash.
You know what I think is really funny? That people think, you know, science students are a big bunch of dorky nerds that don't have social skills. But hello, who is the only group of students that have a 24-hour science student lounge?
That's the other thing. Yes.
Yes.
I mentioned that because, yeah,
thank you.
Some of my greatest memories are sitting in the science student lounge at maybe 1 a.m. trying to finish an assignment with half of my friends. So yeah, it's such a nice environment to study in, I think.
And Taryn actually used to work in the lounge as well. So she had a part-time role there, didn't you? What were you doing? Everything?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, a bit of everything. I had the amazing opportunity. I was a student. Well, I worked for the student experience coordinator. So essentially, I did anything that related to helping students, any of the events that we did, so peer mentoring, the networking events, anything like that, I got to help with, and I got to run anything that we related to students in the lounge, so just helping them with questions, actually keeping the lounge working and clean, and any of the stuff that goes up in that building we were responsible for. So it was a pretty amazing opportunity, and I learned a lot from it. And helping with networking the event actually pretty much got me my job where I am. So it ended up well for me.
Yeah, excellent.
Taryn, you've also got before you start, Taryn's got a question here, and they've been waiting for a while. So Taryn, since your majors were chem and criminology, how well do you think these subjects complemented each other, and how do they work together in regards to career prospects? So yeah.
That's a really good question, actually. It's an interesting one. I wouldn't say that they so much complemented each other, in that instead it's like doing a double degree for me, it gave me a much broader mindset, I guess. I don't think like a straight science student, as a lot of people, I guess, is the best way to explain it. By doing criminology and doing human rights, it gave me a completely different perspective on the world, and it makes me take a look at anything before I take it on face value. And that has been extremely important to me. And it just helps a lot with life. And in terms of career prospects, it made getting a job actually quite a lot easier for me, because I had more options, I guess. And having that diversity is quite appealing, especially in the consulting industry, because again, you think differently.
Brilliant. All right, Bridget, best thing that you've been involved in, that you saw, that you did while you were studying?
100% so like you mentioned earlier, the Global Challenges degree has an ability to shift form under your feet. But when I was doing Global Challenges, a semester abroad wasn't an option, just because of the structure of the degree. However, now it is. So for any of you lovely people who want to do it, definitely do a semester abroad. However, my cohort, we couldn't. So we kind of hijacked it and did a winter semester in Italy. And it was, I would almost say, like a turning point of my life. It grew my confidence hugely, and just really formed really solid friendships. And that was by far a highlight. So if you have any opportunities to study abroad, highly recommend it. And other than that, because of the Global Challenges degree, we had to do a social enterprise. So it's like a business that does good. And because of that, I then got accepted into a program run by the Foundation for Young Australians called Young Social Pioneers. And so this is a group of people from the age of 18 to 29 who are all doing incredible social impact projects, whether it's a business or a not-for-profit, which I was very privileged to be let in there. I've had a bit of imposter syndrome, but I met the most incredible network of people. And on the back of that, the Monash Generator, if anyone's interested in entrepreneurship, is a Monash entrepreneurship hub. And the staff there are so supportive, so engaged. So having that entrepreneurship experience coming into my role now specifically has been invaluable, because half of what I'm doing is seeing if this scientific idea will be a viable business option, which is what I learned throughout my degree. So I highly recommend anyone study abroad, and if you're interested in entrepreneurship, check out the Monash Generator. They're awesome.
Oh, brilliant. I love it when it sort of all comes together, when you at the time you don't actually realise what you're learning or experiencing and how that's going to help you down the track. And as I said before, you can take that step back and go, wow, okay,
100%. Take all the opportunities you can get, because as others have mentioned, you'll either realise you don't like something or you'll learn something which you can apply later.
Okay. All right, Callum, you go. What did you do, see, experience?
I'm going to say the best part of my degree was really the lab experience, just in individual units and across most of my degree. I was in a lab minimum 3 times a week, and there are quite a number of people out in the workforce who realize that. For my first position at Rio, they were actually looking for someone who had a bit more lab experience, but the person interviewing me was a Monash graduate, or had graduated from Monash, so they understood how much lab experience you get, especially through chemistry. I was spending about 12 hours in a lab a week through that, and it really just built a lot of experience. I'm also going to mention, since no one else is, the clubs at Monash. I did quite enjoy a lot through my degree. There's just clubs for everything. I was personally involved a lot in the snow sports club and the card games club. There's clubs for loads of things though. So if you're into dance, if you're into football, if you're into whatever it might be, there's something around, and yeah, it was good fun.
Brilliant. All right, I think we'll just have one quick question or one bit of advice. I'm going to start with you, Callum. So I've mixed it up here. Okay, so thinking back to when you were in year 12, what was one piece of advice, knowing what you know now, that would have helped you maybe make a decision or alleviate some, fears that may be out there about uni? What would be the best bit of advice you could give someone in year 12?
I think it's been a common bit of advice tonight. Really just don't be afraid to try something. Like, as you're coming out of year 12, it's really the time to go, yeah, all right, I think I might have a go at this particular unit or at this opportunity for students. And you might find out, oh, no, I don't like that. But that's the best time to find out. Like, there's not a lot that you're going to lose by spending an afternoon listening to some presentation about some exchange program. I would just say trying out new things.
Brilliant. Thank you. Bridge.
Okay, so to give a bit of different advice from that then, I guess, is kind of some of it, put yourself out there. So join clubs, try things that you think you'll fail at. In short, you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes. So give it a shot, get out there.
That's the only way I learn. Carla.
Thinking back to year 12, although it's getting longer and longer now for me, I think that there's such a lot of pressure to on your ATAR and what picking a career, and you want to go into science, but what job are you going to get from that? And I think I've learned, I guess, this the hard way, because that was definitely my mindset in year 12. I wanted to do medicine. That's all I wanted to do. And I'm so glad, honestly, that I did science and I've had all these other experiences that have sort of led me to medicine as opposed to having a really closed mindset. So I think, I know there's probably a lot of people on here that are looking at doing med and things like that. But, you know, the reality is not a lot of people get that 99 ATAR score. So get enough to get into science, I guess, try your best to do that. But there's always a backdoor or a pathway that can get you there. It might take a little bit longer, but you're going to learn like so much more along the way. And yeah, just echoing what the other guys said, the most important things I think I ever did were the things that I said yes to that came my way, or things that I wasn't, that just were sort of random and not organized at all, like being part of the Science Ambassador program and volunteering at my time outside of uni and work as well. So yeah, I think put yourself out there as well and say yes to everything.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, the beautiful Taryn. What advice would you give?
I think mine is similar to everybody else's, but yeah, you don't need to set yourself into a specific path. I think follow your passions that you have, and then find a job out of that, or find something that can use what you've learned at uni. It doesn't really matter what you study, because you learn so much anyway. So don't set yourself into a certain thing just because you think you want to get a job out of that. Follow your passions.
All right, brilliant. Thank you so much. I think now, are there any questions, or I need to click on that, or can I read them? Michaela, I can't hear you. Oops. Oops.
I'm having a great tech night tonight. All right, so I'll just go through the questions very quickly. I'm not sure if you know off the top of your head, Kim, what is the guaranteed entry ATAR for commerce and science for an international student? Because I've been looking it up. It's actually quite hard to find. You do need to be...
One moment. For an international, all right, so I can tell you it will be less than, 90.
There you go.
That's what it was 2019. So
and remember, ATARs are
degree.
ATARs
90.
are always an indication, and sometimes they can change from year to year. Just keep that in mind too. All right, cool. What are some majors I could take with psychology to become a neuropsychologist or a forensic psychologist? So major with psychology. What else would you do?
So physiology, you'd be studying with psychology, and you know, you might want to, and we're talking about forensics, weren't we? So you might even want to maybe study some of the genetics, the genetic and genomics. There's a forensics unit in that as well.
Which leads into the next question, Kim, which is, does Monash offer a forensic science course?
We don't offer a straight forensic science course. What we usually recommend is that students major in chemistry and their other major be genetics and genomics. And the students on the panel probably heard me say this before, but I have a friend that works at the Victoria Police Forensics Unit in Bundoora, and she studied a Bachelor of Science major in both of those areas. So they give you the hard science behind what you need to undertake in the role. So yeah.
Cool. If anybody has any questions for any of our student ambassadors or alumni, please also put them in there as well. If you have anything specifically that you would like to ask them, you can just go @Chang and then they can answer the question as well. So, all right, cool. So the next question is, are there specific majors that we need to do to get into the Masters of Engineering? Now, we don't offer a Masters of Engineering, but you can use science to get in if you want to at another institution. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, Kim.
No, all I would just recommend is just Google Master of Engineering and see what the prerequisites are, because I'm not familiar with us as a pathway into that program. So no.
This is a good one. How is Monash Science different from other universities? I don't know if anybody else wants to answer that as well. Carla?
Just that I've had I know a lot of people from I guess Melbourne University in particular. I guess that's one of the most ones that you get asked about. But I know just back when I did science, Kim correct me, or Michaela correct me if I'm wrong now, but the lab time was actually double at Monash. So we were in the lab a lot more. There was a lot less students accepted into Monash Science because Melbourne only have their 5 degrees, or I'm not quite sure about that now, but there was a lot of bigger course. So I know that in my major, which was physiology, I knew most people's faces, at least, if not their names, and, you know, could say hi to them. So I feel like that was one main thing for us, that it was, yeah, a lot more, less people and a lot more lab time.
Yeah.
I
And
guess
there's I was going to say, there's a whole range of different things actually which make every Bachelor of Science different from every university. So you think just because the degree is called the Bachelor of Science that they're all the same, but they're really not. They're really different, and they're different on the entry requirements. They're different as to whether the program offers a subject adjustment bonus. They're different on the types of majors and the number of majors that are on offer. And they're different also with the course structure. So there are universities where you can't study 2 science majors, which is a bit of a bummer if you love your science. So yeah, it's those sorts of things that you really need to have a look at. Jump on these mazy websites and see what you can come up with.
Cool. All right, Carly, you've got another question. You said you did something with cancer research or something that's got to do with cancer. How did you go about doing this?
Sorry, I was actually just typing a response, but yeah, so I went into being a clinical trial coordinator, which is something that wasn't really talked about when I was doing the degree, which I think is really good for people to know about. So yeah, I would start by doing an honours year and maybe trying to find an oncologist or some sort of cancer lab or cancer research. I know there was another question in regards to this. If you just Google the School of Public Health and Preventative Medicine, you can actually, from your science degree, go into one of their honours programs. So if you are interested in health-related projects, there's lots of them on that website. So I would start there, but then I also did a graduate certificate, which is like a mini master's degree in public health as well. And that was, again, complementary to my trial coordinating. So obviously cancer there's lots and lots of clinical trials and it's a huge research area. So yeah, they need clinical trial coordinators. Even in this COVID time, I'm still getting like jobs coming up on LinkedIn, so many jobs available. So I feel like it's a really big area of need. So trial coordination, if you look that up as well.
Cool. A good question for the students who are currently studying, especially ones who are doing, say, chemistry, Tara. How are the labs being conducted online? How is that all going for you at the moment?
Yeah, I was just about to type an answer, so perfectly I can talk about it, my favourite. Yeah, so during my 3rd year chemistry labs, we watch a video of our teaching assistant do the lab. Not the most interactive, but that's fine. And then we get to do a Zoom call with the TA and they explain what they did and they explain any of the results and we have a chance to ask questions and then we do the lab report.
Yeah. I was doing a thing where I was filming something and the lady she was growing all the plants and she was filming them day by day as they grew along, and then the students got the data at the end of it, and then they did the stuff with the data. So they're trying the best they can to sort of bring the lab experience online. But yeah, it's a tricky one. It's not as good as face to face. So hopefully we'll be back there very soon. All right. Okay. What other questions have we got here? What science majors would someone recommend or Kim recommend for studying a field for, what science majors would you recommend for a career in allied health, for example?
Well, not being an expert in allied health, Carla,
sorry, I feel like
sorry.
Sorry. So allied health, so you've got like physio, you've got your dietetics, you've got your occupational therapy. They're just a few of the main, I guess, allied health fields. If you do a science degree, so physiology for one is a broad major, so you can actually pick which body systems in physiology that you want to learn about. So there's neurophysiology, cardiophysiology, there's an exercise physiology unit that might be really appealing to you if you wanted to go into physio. But if you want to do allied health, but you're not quite sure which area, science would definitely be a great degree because, as I said, you can just explore whatever you're interested in. Developmental biology for everyone is, I guess, Monash's term for anatomy in a way. So you start off doing a lot of embryology. You get to do, I guess, one sort of hardcore anatomy unit. And then it more goes into sort of a research component. So that would be really useful. And there's also, I think, a human pathology major, Kim, that would be very relevant as well, because that talks about disease. And so when you're in any element of allied health, I guess you have to know all about the different diseases that could pop up in your specialty.
Perfect. What do we say here? Is it better to choose related electives or random ones? Do some courses complement others and share content? So like some of our students will study, you know, a couple of units in a language, some wine appreciation, some jewellery making, just some random stuff that really interests them. And don't laugh, Tara. And then others will look at that and go, you know what, that's great for me to do as a hobby, but I might not necessarily want to pay for it. So I will stack my degree with academic study and do those wine appreciation, or otherwise known as drinking, and jewellery making outside of my academic study. So it's really up to the individual. You can pretty much design your degree to suit what your interests are then and there. But do bear in mind that whatever you do enrol into, you will be paying for. So you will be. What do you think about that, Naz?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about an answer to that, and it kind of went with what Taryn said about how her double degree has given her greater perspective on what she learned in the science side. And I guess I have had the same experience. So like with my major in statistics, I've taken other units in business analytics and in computer science. And I think I'm pursuing a career in data science. So while I might have the really core technical aspects down from mathematics, taking a unit in business analytics gives me the ability to like communicate these ideas in a more business-minded manner. So I'm sure this philosophy applies to whether you're in mathematics or chemistry or biology or whatever, but just taking your perspective on how these things that you're studying need to be understood in practice is very valuable.
And do you think, I don't like to use the word assume, but I'm thinking that when you first came into first year, you weren't thinking like that.
No, not at all.
No,
not at all.
Unless you were extremely clever.
No, I didn't actually, I wasn't as proactive as many of the people in the audience in terms of even going to events like these, but I think you pick stuff up along the way, and it's a bit of luck and a bit of planning, but yeah, it all works out.
I don't know about that, Naz. You've followed up some of your own, pursued some of your own things. So I'm not too sure. Maybe just in a different way. That's all.
Yeah.
So I think there was a question there. What's the best way to network at Monash? So I'll leave that open to you guys.
I'm happy to take this one.
Yeah.
I would say the best way to network is within student cohorts, as Callum mentioned earlier, join clubs. 100%. It's a really great way to meet people. If you're into sport, it's great because you often have training, and so it's scheduled times that you're catching up with the same people, and there's clubs for everything at Monash. One of the biggest, most popular ones is Disney. But then also people are always really willing to talk to students. So you can start building your professional networks even whilst you're still at university, and people are willing to have a chat. If you just ask them about what they're doing and you reach out and say, you know, I'll buy you a cup of coffee if we have a half-hour chat about what you do, it's really valuable. Actually, the first person I professionally networked with was Chris Judd, randomly, because he was at this panel event we went to for Global Challenges. And at the time he worked at Impact Investment Group, and they invest in social enterprises or companies that do good. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I went up and like shook his hand. And I was like, hi, I'm here from, like, my name's Bridget. He's like, hi, I'm Chris. I
know who you are.
Yeah. But like, I was like, you know, in a couple of years, we're going to be doing social enterprises. I would love to know as investors what you look for. And he gave me his business card. He told me to email him. He replied. And that was all just because I had a little ballsy moment. So yeah, just put yourself out there. As students, join clubs. but then I think start building your professional networks while still in university, for sure.
Wow, I'm a little surprised that Chris Judd invested in social enterprises. I'll
He
be
did it
honest.
for like 1 year and then became like a media commentator.
Yes, exactly. And I barracked for Carlton, so okay, there you go. There's another question. If I'm studying a Bachelor of Science on its own, how many electives, majors, minors do you choose to undertake? So can someone talk about the structure as far as how many subjects you study each semester? Anyone?
You can choose.
Go, Artemis.
I was like tentatively. So generally, if you do a science degree, you do one major and one minor. That's typically the structure. But in a semester, you'll take 4 units. That's the general number of units that you do in one go. You can choose to overload or underload, but the typical amount is 4. And as for the way that they're structured is that you generally have one major and one minor. You can choose to do a double two majors, but you don't have any elective space. And I think, is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. So it's 4. So if you're thinking like you're in year 12 and you have 5 subjects, in first semester or unit 3, and then 5 subjects in unit 4, it's a similar thing, except it's 4 subjects each semester. So this is for Chang. Oh, Chang, you've got a fan club.
This is a really funny question. So what made me choose computer science over IT? Well, this isn't really related to science, but I thought that I would like the theoretical side a bit more about computer science, and I was more keen on the maths, and because I liked maths so much in high school, that's why I picked science in the first place. I thought computer science would be a better thing to pair with it than IT. So yeah.
Perfect. I love that. What's the workload like? All right, so in first year, if you're talking about contact hours, well, they're a bit different this year. What we normally say is in first year, the contact hours are between 21 to 24. But again, that also depends on your subjects that you're studying as well. So chemistry has a weekly 3-hour lab, whereas biology, it's 2 hours a week or 4 every fortnight. So it's a little bit different in that way. So because it's science, you have that hands-on component, and that's why the contact hours are between 21 to 24 in your first year. That's also, remember, not including your study hours. So yeah. How will doing an undergraduate degree at Monash give you an edge in terms of doing a postgraduate degree directly? So postgraduate degrees usually require an undergraduate degree to be completed first. It's just a matter of having a look at the entry requirements for the postgraduate degree, and I love that one, and matching your bachelor degree to that as well. So Callum, have you got any moustache growing tips? Maybe there might be some students that need some assistance out there. Actually, how long did that take?
Number 1 tip is peer pressure. How many weeks is this? This is like since we had to start wearing masks. I don't remember, because it was like, oh, well, nobody else gets to see. So, I mean, so you are some of the first people here who are seeing the mustache.
That is brilliant. Thank you. And Naz, what about you? How long did it take you to grow that?
Should hide in shame.
In lockdown, there truly is no concept of time. Days go by, and you don't see the sunrise or sunset. But an actual answer was like
a day.
No, I wish, right? Actually, no, that'd be a curse. Since this set of lockdown, so 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, all right. And I think finally we might leave it here. What sport clubs are on offer at Monash?
Don't know a number, but so many. I personally did cheerleading, and then played my own footy team. We play against the Monash football team, as well as more casual sporting clubs. Like I was part of Monash Dance Society. So although it wasn't competing in dance, it was a good way to break up. particularly honours during the middle of the day, going for an hour-long boogie. But yeah, if anyone knows a specific number, I'm not sure heaps, so like everything.
It is. There's everything. There's anything and everything. And people sure, we're going to talk about stock space, but there's students like ask for people to join different clubs and different sports all the time. What's the weirdest
And there's
club
social sport as well.
heard of? What's the weirdest clubs or have heard of?
The Quidditch team. That's pretty.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
That is.
Quidditch is brutal. I don't know if you've ever seen Quidditch as a sport, but it is actually brutal. And I've played it once, and it was very dangerous. So just be wary. It's very fun, though. It's very fun. There is a Quidditch team. So,
I mean, I think we tend to say if you think you're a bit weird and you have some, weird ideas and weird fun, there's going to be people at the uni that are going to be just like you. So you can
make your own clubs as well. Like there's nothing stopping you making your own club and getting a following. There's like a chocolate appreciation club as well. Like there's everything. There's everything.
I think the Mexican club was doing tequila shots outside on my first chemistry lab that I ever did. So, we were all inside trying to titrate whilst there was pitbull music and tequila shots going on outside. So I think that was my...
and that's probably a good point as well, I mentioned. But when you join clubs as well, they often do lots of barbecues and interactive things as well. So it's not super serious. It's often just, a quick catch up on campus if that's what you want to do. And if you want to do tequila shots in the middle of the day, that's also an option sometimes, unfortunately.
Oh, Chang. Wow, that's brilliant. I love it.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
I think we might leave it there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and staying on to the very end. We actually didn't envisage it going this long, but we also don't like a bit of structure, and we're happy to be quite fluid and move around. And as the questions change and the answers change, we're happy to go with that flow as well. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. And we hope to see you on campus. And thank you so much, student ambassadors, and thank you so much, our alumni as well.